Welcome to the new episode of All That Jazz. I'm your host, Matias, and I have with me Liza Miron. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here with you.
Thank you for being on. And I haven't had a practitioner like you before, and you deal with families and stuff like that. And that's something, unfortunately, that I've had troubles with in my life, as I'm sure a lot of other people have. So how did you get into this line of work? Were you like spiritually interested before, or were you like some people who were like accountants and then transitioned into something like this?
So I'm the second kind.
Okay.
I used to work in finance.
Oh, right. I didn't even, it just came to me.
Yeah. I was one of those doing numbers and Excel sheets and
Oh, wow. Did you like it?
no, not at all.
By the way, did you study economics?
I studied business administration.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I started there and I didn't like it at all. So I decided that I was going to move more toward human resources.
Right.
So then I did master in human resources and started working in a company in human resources. What I wanted is to have more contact with people, not just with numbers. That was
Right.
the case when you usually work in finance. So I
Yeah.
started doing human resources, and I started doing also a master in life coaching.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at the same time as I was working, once I finished the master in human resources. And then, because I wanted to also have the possibility of have one-to-one sessions with, I really like the idea of life coaching. So one of my teachers said, no matter what you do with your clients, how many limiting beliefs, how many exercises, visualizations, some of them are just going to be stuck. And
That is
there's
true.
nothing you can do. Yeah. And
Right.
the reason why they're stuck is usually because of something that they're unconsciously carrying for the family system. So it's something that's very powerful and helpful for this is for them to do a family constellation. And then I said, a what?
Exactly.
And then, so I said, I have to find out. This sounds so important. I really need to find out more. And for me, when I started learning about family constellations, it was like an opening. It was like such a big, like calmness, healing, awareness, like many of the things that I had been looking for before, I was able to get with family constellations, explanations, and situations of knowing what's going on, why are things happening, and this just gave me a tool to be able to heal and explanations that I had been looking for in my life for a very long time. I just
Wow.
loved it. I just, it was like a, Cupid that sent a with a bow and an arrow, sent an hour and an arrow, and I was like, wow.
Wow.
And ever since, I've been the same. I've been fascinated by this work.
Was it really like impactful in your life, or did it like really change you when you did a session where you're like, wow, this is just amazing?
It was impactful for my life and for many of the lives of others, because I started to, I was fascinated. So I started to learn more and more and more. And I would go weekly to sessions of family constellations, and I started doing the training just because I liked it so much. I never thought that I would, be a facilitator, but I just wanted to know more and more and more. And just to see the differences in the lives of people and the shifts, and how people that had been stuck for years in one thing, and even having all kinds of healing methods and therapies, not being able to move forward. And then after a session, it's like there's a huge opening suddenly. For me, it was like magical, and I just
Yeah.
enjoyed it to be part of the witness of this miracles happening.
What's the most common thing that people in the family are holding that um I think when we spoke previously briefly before, you said sometimes usually it happened a few generations prior, something that happened that's still going on with the family, that's still being held in some way. Are you able to
Yeah.
intuit that when you get it, or you just like when you talk to them, you're like, oh yeah, that's probably from the family?
It's different with each case, which each person, each family system. It's always completely different.
It is rainy here. Hold on. Yes, let us continue.
Yeah. So it's different with each person, but usually things that are very traumatic, that are hard, that are very
Yeah.
difficult in the family system, those are the things that come up. And the other thing that comes up a lot is abortions and miscarriages, because they are part of the family system and they always
Ooh.
belong, and they are the first ones that are forgotten, that are not taken into account as one more in the family system.
And how does a miscarriage then carry on into next generations?
So for example, what happens is that everybody belongs in the family system. Everybody has their place in the family system. And when somebody doesn't have their place, the next generations are going to have an entanglement. So this is what we call the like energetic bonds that we have with family members that keep us stuck, that keep us repeating their patterns, that keep us not being able to connect to life and to all that life can give to us. So we can have an entanglement. So maybe my grandmother had a miscarriage. And what happens usually with miscarriages is that there's some cultures that have rituals to honor and respect and include the miscarriages and abortions in the family system. But most of the cultures, for example, I live in USA, in California, and here there's even some people that say that they're not eating humans. So if you have a baby
Right.
and
The
the baby's born,
pro-choice people, right.
yeah, and you know, and here we're not judging, we're not criticizing, we're not, and everybody's doing the best that they can, and we're not saying that one path is better than the other. What I'm saying is the experience that if a baby is born, then and that baby passes away 1 month after being alive, you know, you have the whole funeral, the grieving process, the whole loss, and you're able to grieve, to mourn, and go through all that process. But if the baby dies 1 week before the baby's born, you have to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And it's so painful, and not being able, you know, and not being able to have this whole process of being able to say goodbye, of you know, just being with your pain. So you have to do it like in silence, alone, and that is part of the problem. And then it's like it's so difficult that you don't want to remember. So what happens is that, let's say that my grandmother had a miscarriage, and it was really hard for her because it was a baby that she really wanted, and it was so painful, and she didn't know how to deal with the pain, and it's like she blocked it. So then I could be connecting to that miscarriage. And by connecting to that miscarriage, it's like I have a bond, an entanglement with somebody dead of the family system. So then I'm going to be easily ignored because it's like I'm not seen. I may be having problems. I may be not allowing myself to enjoy life because this other entanglement that I have, this like connection is like, and this is also conscious. I don't even know that all this is going on, but it's like this feeling that if others were not able to enjoy, why should I? Why, you know,
Right.
why should
Like
I
a
have
family
permission if they
habit,
didn't?
almost like a family emotional habit, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And this is how it affects us. If my mother had a miscarriage or an abortion before me, then I can easily then step into that. Oh, and I'm going to tell you something interesting. But first, I can easily step into that position, and it's not my position, you know, because we all have our position in the family system. So I mean, if I'm in a position of somebody that was not able to live, I'm not going to have the strength of life. On the contrary, I'm going to feel this heaviness. I'm going to feel that I don't belong because I'm not in my place. I'm in the place of somebody else. And because of me being in this place, then this person does not have their place. It's missing in the family system. So then I don't have the strength with life. And what I wanted to tell you is that recently we went to see an exposition here. It's called, how do they call it? It's at Van Gogh. It's not his artworks, but they put like these films of all his art, but in motion, you know, in this big screens and all around. It's really nice. It has a special name. I forgot the name. But I was listening to the story of Van Gogh, and I didn't know this, and I just realized that when I was there, that his mom, he had a brother that passed away very young as a baby. That was called Vincent.
Oh, wow.
He had the same name. So when he was born, they gave him the name of the baby that had died just before him. So when you look at the
Oh,
life of Van Gogh and you say, why did he have such a troubled life? This explains a lot.
oh, so you think
He
he
was in
was
the place of
carrying,
somebody, yeah,
so you think he was carrying a lot of the emotional grief from his parents?
from his parents, and he was in the living the life of somebody that was dead. He even had the name of his brother, the same name.
Yeah.
So then just think about it and you can feel the heaviness. And this is what's happening. We connect to this and we feel the heaviness, and that heaviness doesn't allow us to connect with life. And this
Mm.
is all unconscious. I may not know that my mother had an abortion or a miscarriage before me, but unconsciously I connect to that, and that limits me. That limits my capacities to connect to abundance, to health, to success.
You
And this is
know,
what I see the most
yeah,
coming, because we don't know what to do. We don't know how to grieve. We don't know how to deal, how to remember these babies that we're not able to live.
yeah, it's so hard. Like, okay, I'll share something I've not shared on the podcast before, but back in the day, uh, I did a few workshops in Canada on hypnosis, and one of them, the last one, was past life, and it was very practical, and we did it on each other, and it came that so this woman named Monica was doing it on me, and I got into a lifetime where I was this woman in Egypt, and this woman was pregnant, and this woman had a, a stillborn baby, a baby that died.
Mm.
And, I was kind of skeptical what I was going to see and all that. But, imagine this, there's 12 people in the course, two guys and 10 women. And I was the only one that was like emotionally affected by it, because that event is just like, I don't know, it's not rational. Like I wasn't thinking about it, but it was just like, it impacted me. I know this is different than what you're doing, but it seems like even from a past life, like that kind of traumatic event can like carry over. And for a while after that, even if I talked about it, I would get like really like emotional. Not really anymore now, but yeah, I would just get like really sad, and I have to like, yeah, I mean, I had to leave the course. I have to like walk out, and and she
Wow.
had to, when I came back, she had to do some work on me to get me back, into class form so I could continue with the workshop. So yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Wow, that's so interesting, so powerful.
Do you deal with that as well? Do you think sometimes you carry something over from a past life? Do you access that?
So I don't. I know that there's some people that do family constellations and they do bring the past life aspect, but I work specifically with what we have from this life connected to our ancestors of this life.
Hmm.
Maybe through the work that we're doing, because we don't know exactly what is all the work that's going on. Maybe it is connecting to past lives. I don't know, but I mainly focus on this body and like the ancestors of this lifetime.
What about if things are happening when you're in the womb? Let's say there's family arguments and stuff like that. Do you think that impacts you even more when you're still in the womb of your mother?
So everything that happens from the moment that our mother was actually formed impacts us. So not
Really?
only that, but actually even what our grandmother was going through when she was pregnant with our mother, because all the eggs were already there in our mother's body when she was in our grandmother's womb. So the
What?
egg that became us is there and is feeling everything from our grandmother. And then from our
Oh,
mother, we received all the trauma, all the happiness, all the everything that happened in our mother's lives
oh, wow.
physically. I mean, that is recorded in the cell that became us
That is
until the
crazy.
moment that we were, yeah. I mean, we were there.
Hmm. Wow, because I heard Just recently I learned that I didn't know this, but when my mother was pregnant with me, this is back in the day when you had to be, it was more conservative, and if you weren't married, it was like a big no. And that's why my parents got married when I was, when she was like 6 months pregnant with me or something. But apparently my mother and my grandparents didn't speak for quite a while during that time. So it was like, wow, this is a crazy thing to learn. I just learned this like a month ago, It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow, so trauma gets passed on, but do you think also the good things get passed over? We talk a lot about
Of
trauma and all that,
course.
but what about talents? What about joy, and what about like some families are very much more open and joyful. And I know that's not only cultural, because even within a same city, a same town, you find families that are so distinctly different.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we connect to everything, to the
Mm.
love, to the joy, to the wisdom, to the energy, to the beauty, to everything. The thing is that, I mean, we don't want to clear that up. We're happy keeping that.
Yes.
We welcome it, So we do the family constellations to work on the aspects that are blocking us, the emotions that are holding us down, the traumas, whatever is not connecting us with life. And we open ourselves to keep on receiving all that does connect us with life, with all the blessings, all the love, all the wisdom. There's so much wisdom in our family system. I mean, if you think about it, everything that they have learned for generations and generations, what has been useful, we connect to all of that, and we welcome it, and we're happy to receive it. However, when we are rejecting, judging, criticizing, excluding someone, it's like we're closing ourselves to receive. And this is
Okay.
why part of the work here is to honor and respect everybody, understanding that everybody is doing the best that they can or did the best that they could.
Yeah, I'm not talked so much personally on the podcast before, but I do have some family issues with certain family members, and what you're talking about is like shutting people off, and I feel almost like a defense mechanism. I shut some people off, or whether is I have a resentment or they have a resentment against me, so I make a line like, okay, I'm not gonna engage with that anymore and stuff like that. I think that's very common in families, a lot more than people give credit for.
And it's not bad, because it is important for us to protect ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to
Mm.
love ourselves, and to respect ourselves. And if we're in a relationship that it's not healthy, that is harmful, that it's draining us, it is okay for us to put our limits. However, instead of getting this resentment, getting this judgment and criticism that the other person is the one that's doing things wrong, it's important to do this in a loving way, honoring and respecting the other person. And, internally, you don't even have to talk to the other person. Say, I honor and respect your beliefs, your values, what you're going through. And for whatever reason, we do not get along. We think differently. And getting together, it's hurtful for both of us. So I'm going to keep some distance, but with love, with acceptance,
Mm.
without judging and criticizing you, letting go of the resentment, because I know that we're both doing the best that we can. And I take my responsibility in this, because when there's conflicts with others, we also have a part, but sometimes we don't want to see that part. So
Yeah.
then I look at that part and I say, and I take my responsibility, because I know that I have also hurt you. It's not only you, you're not here the bad one. We just have our issues and we don't get along. So I will always have you in my heart, and I will be a little bit distant, because that's healthier, for at least for me right now. And it's okay to have some distance from the people that we don't get along, even if they're our parents. However, it's important internally. How do we feel about them? Do we
Hmm.
honor and respect them? Do we accept them? And then we take care of ourselves, but without that hate, without the judgment, we really get to the point of understanding that they're doing the best that they can with their own entanglements, with their own traumas, with their own situations. I mean, you said it when you were telling me about the example that when your parents were going out, it was not accepted to be together without being married. And then they had all these issues, and then their parents were not talking to them. So they lived in a time that was different than ours. They had different struggles.
Well, especially if they have a baby, then it's not really not accepted if you were not, not married when you have a baby back then in the 80s. So it
Yeah.
was quite a severe thing, I think.
Well, if you think about that, I mean, we really know so little about our parents, of how they lived, how they were as children. What did they receive from their parents? What did they receive from the culture? What was accepted? What was not accepted? I often have clients with that are stuck with often women with their careers, with being successful, and it happens that the generations in the past, women were not allowed to have a career to be successful. Their place was in the house with the children. And it depends on the culture, because different cultures have different ways of relating to this situation. But there are some cultures that women really could not work. And then when now the new cultures, the new generations want to work, they feel this pull down. Like, I mean, why should I, if so many generations previously were not able to?
Right.
And what we need to do is honor and respect the struggles of the ones that came before, and decide to do what we want, so that their suffering is not in vain, because we deserve it. And so that the next generations are open to this.
Mm.
So this is what we need to do, but from the understanding that it's not that men were evil and they were, holding the women trapped, changed change with chains in their houses, and it's not, it was the culture. That's what the beliefs, the values. There was society. That was what they understood that was necessary for whatever reason, and maybe they wanted to do things differently, but they couldn't. So when we think of our parents, how many things that they grew up with, of how to do things, what were the values at that time, from their parents, from their friends, from the culture growing up. And then
Mm.
they did the best that they could, with each situation. And we want them to be perfect and to do things the way that we think they should do the things. But they did not have the information that we have now, the awareness, the openness. It's amazing. And we forget the moment that we're in, how amazing it is. We are able to get information of anything instantly at
Yes.
any moment. They didn't.
Yeah, they didn't.
I'm sure they needed information and help many times in their lives, and they had nothing. They had to figure it out on their own, just repeating
Yeah.
what they were looking from the others. This is the way that we do it.
Yeah, even if you were an adult in the 90s, like you had nothing, like, oh, I can't, Google didn't even exist before 1995, I think, or 96. So, where are you gonna go? It's just like there's nothing. You're gonna go in the library and read, and you're gonna spend a lot of time, searching through the books to find what you're looking for. Now you can just, like, for certain things you can ask Google, and Google will tell you. Like, it might not
Yeah.
always be accurate, but Google will point, or it will point you in the direction that you need to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
really amazing
exactly. It's
point.
amazing. It's amazing. But they didn't. They didn't have all this. So of course, they have this whole life of doing things differently, of learning things differently. And those are the patterns that they have. Those are their traumas. Those are their learnings. Those are their tools. So we cannot expect them to be who we think they should be right now, as the way we perceive life, because they are so different. Their experiences are so different. Their memories, their difficulties, their joys, so we have to let go of expectations completely and just accept them,
Ooh,
understanding.
that's a big one. That's a big one. Letting go of all
Yeah,
expectations. I think
yeah.
that's probably the key to happiness, having really low expectations of other people. And whenever in
Yeah.
my life I've had resentments, and resentments I have now is because I want the person to be different than they are. I'm wanting them to be something else.
Yeah, of course. And the thing is that, we want others to be different. and we want them to be the way we think they should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
who,
it.
I mean, what do we know really of what's best for them? Maybe doing what exactly they're doing, it's what's best for them because it's going to bring some awareness, it's going to be important for their development, or even it's the best for us because they're going to show us something that we need to see in ourselves or that we need to be aware of or that we're not doing.
Oof.
There's so much that we don't know.
Yeah,
And
that
we really
is.
don't know what's best for others. We really, really don't know.
Yeah. There's a prayer called serenity prayer, and it goes like, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And the last bit is crucial. What's the wisdom? The things I can change and things I cannot change,
Exactly.
it just.
Exactly. I love that. I've I've seen it so many times and I still get chills just listening to it because that's exactly that. And
Mm,
of course, we can wish well-being for others, but we need to respect that each person has their path and that what is the path for them to get to that well-being. We really don't know what is the best path.
mm. But you have a very accepting slash loving worldview. While I mean, let me just say that I'm interested in politics, and politics seem to be very binary. Either here or you're here or here, and in between there's not much there.
I know. I know. I think it's such a pity that it's so extreme because, I mean, I'm sure that both sides have useful, positive, good ideas. It's
Sometimes,
not that
yeah.
it's not that one is completely terrible and the other one is completely
Right, right.
wonderful. No, there's always things that both sides will have, but they're not open to even listening to those possibilities because of this extreme duality.
Yeah, and then any position you take, you will be attacked, even if it's a good one, because the cynics can interpret anything in a bad way. Like you said, you're the opposite. You're trying to see the love and accept the low expectations and all that. But some people are the opposite. They're really high expectations. There's I don't know if you know, there was a philosopher called Eric Hoffer. He spent a lot of his life in San Francisco, and he said something very interesting, that when we are disappointed with ourselves, we tend to raise the expectations of other people.
Oh, how
So,
interesting.
but in psychology, they'd call it projection. But that's primarily it's because of our sickness here, that we
Mhm.
want to be disappointed with other people. So to be disappointed, we raise the expectation, and that's easy. Then everybody triggers us. Then, so that just makes perfect sense,
Mhm.
because it's a lot easier to find fault with the world than find fault in us, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people that come to like practitioners like you are people that are starting to look within and see where am I going wrong, or what is going on with my soul, or where could I be better, instead of looking
yeah.
outside, right?
Well, that's the biggest work we can do, the most important one, and what's going to be able to keep us grounded in our place. I mean, it's if we are okay with ourselves, whatever everybody says, it's really not going to affect us. And it doesn't mean that we don't care. We always care. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved. We want to belong. It's
Mm,
not that, they can say whatever, it's not going to affect me. That's not true. I mean, if somebody's criticizing me, there's always going to be a part of it that is going to be like, oh, that's not nice.
right.
Nobody wants to be criticized and judged and attacked. No, nobody.
Yeah.
However, we how much we have worked internally with our shadows, with our fears, with our traumas, and how much we're able to love ourselves and to feel worthy and to feel that we're okay, that we're humans, that we're going to make mistakes because that's part of the path, but we're going to learn from our mistakes, that we're not perfect, and that imperfection is what actually makes us perfect, that makes
Mm,
us grow, that makes us expand, that I am okay. And no matter what everybody else says, I am okay.
There's a saying in Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm not okay and you're not okay, but that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I just find that to be so cute, but also like an acknowledgement of reality that, you don't have to have the acknowledgement that it's okay to be the way you are, to accept yourself and to love yourself. And despite the fact that you're not a math genius, or, you don't have $1 million or whatever, or that you're divorced, that you're still a human being and you're doing only the best you could at a given time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's that understanding that where we turn toward ourselves with self-love and compassion.
Mm,
And the thing about this, what other people think about us, like I'm telling you, of course, we want them to like us. We will always want others to like
yeah.
us, but whether they like us or not doesn't depend in our well-being. We want to be loved, but if they love us or not, even our close friends, family members, we want them to love us. But if they do or not, doesn't depend on how well I'm going to be and my well-being. And that's the difference. Because sometimes our value, we place it on if other love us or accept us or like us. And then when they don't and criticize us, then our value suddenly
Yes,
disappears.
because
So when our value does not depend on what others think, because we accept ourselves, we love ourselves, then we're going to be okay. Of course, we want others to love us, but whether they do or not does not affect our well-being.
mm,
And that's the difference.
so it's about self-acceptance and self-love, and that
Mhm.
protects us. So would you say the going back to, I'm sorry, going back to politics, that somebody that's up there and taking all the criticism, do you think it's self-love that's keeping them, or do you think it's some kind of inner narcissism that I'm the best actually and I can do this? Or is a bit of both?
Probably a bit of both. I mean,
I thought so.
I think we will have to see each person by themselves. I mean, I think it could be one, the other, both, or 100 other things that come together. Who
Right,
knows?
right. Yeah, I think pride also gets the appearance that I'm so good at, like, inflating the ego, as it were. So let's you said that you could do like a small demonstration on me to see what to let the viewers see or hear what kind of work this is. So yeah, I'm happy to be the guinea pig and to get into this.
Okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start with a meditation, and then we're going to do a constellation to work on a specific issue of your life where
Okay.
you're blocked and that you want to bring some healing to. Okay.
All right.
So then for the meditation, just keep your back straight.
Okay.
Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And any thought that you have come into your mind, you're just going to notice it and then you're going to let it go. It is the nature of the mind to have thoughts all the time. We cannot stop them. But once we are aware of them, we're able to decide what to do. And in this moment, you will just let them go. And now you're going to feel a light coming from up above, from source, from God, from love, from the universe, from a greater intelligence, whatever you want to call this greater intelligence. And you're going to feel that this light is all around you and goes through you as well. You're going to allow yourself to receive this blessing, this resource, and this guidance for all the work that we're doing here today, for the best possible healing of you and your whole family system. And keeping the connection with this energy, you're going to start connecting to your family system. So behind you, you're going to see your parents, your father on the right side and your mother on the left side. Your biological parents. And behind them, you're going to see your grandparents. Behind your father, on his right side, you're going to see his father, and on the left side, his mother. And the same for your mother. On her right side, you're going to see her father, and on the left side, her mother. And anybody you did not know, you just know that their presence is there. And behind them, you're going to see your great-grandparents. The same way, behind each person, on the right side, you see their father, and on the left side, their mother. And anybody you did not know, you just know that their presence is there. And you're going to realize that you're here today thanks to each and every one of them. If any one of them would have been different or would not have existed, you wouldn't be here today. So you decide to honor and respect them all. They all belong in your family system. And many of them had difficulties in their lives, challenges, situations that were so hard for them to deal with that they just blocked them. They didn't know what to do. It was too difficult and too painful. And you might be connecting to these issues even if you don't know about them. It feels like a heaviness stuck behind you, the way you connect with your ancestors, with your family system. So look at all your ancestors and honor and respect what they went through. In every single situation, they have been doing the best that they could. They did the best that they could. Now keeping the connection with this light that we started at the beginning, with the blessing, with the energy, the healing. You're going to ask for anything that can be released that you're carrying from your family system to be released right now, easily and gracefully. Anything that doesn't connect you to love and to life. And you're going to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, feel that you're releasing all these things that you're carrying from your family system that do not belong to you, that are not your responsibility. And everything that you let go goes down to the earth where it gets transformed into energy. And all that you're releasing, it's also connecting to your connections with your ancestors, and it's bringing healing there as well. This helps where the flow of love was stuck, was blocked. It creates an opening, a healing, a shifting, a shedding, so that the block is released and the flow of love starts connecting to you again. The wisdom, the love, the blessings from your ancestors start flowing easily from generation to generation. So open yourself to receive all this love, this blessing, this energy from your ancestors. All this new information that was blocked before and that now it's available. Now look at all your ancestors and internally say to them, thank you for my life. Take a deep breath. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Whoa, I went into somewhere else for a bit.
How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. It was yeah, it was a weird feeling at first, like having the people behind me, but ancestors behind me, but it felt it felt good, like almost at home in a way, in a different way. I am at home actually physically as well, but yeah, it felt at home. And there was, at the end, when you're talking about love, there was also love there, and knowledge. I'm not sure what kind of knowledge, but there was something. Yeah. And I don't know what I released, but there was a little bit of tension and whatnot that was released. So I was like, at least something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. So we're going to start doing the constellation now, the part of with
Okay.
the issue that you want to bring some healing to. So what is it, the topic that you want to work on?
Let's say my grandfather. I have a poor relationship with my grandfather.
And was it from your mother's side or father's side?
Mother's side.
Okay. And tell me a little bit, just in a few sentences. I mean, do you see him often, or what is it that makes this a difficult relationship?
Yeah, he's I think he wants me to live a normal life the way he thinks is normal, and I'm not. I don't look like a person that he thinks normally has to look like, and all that. So he has an objection, and he wishes strongly that it was different, that I was different, or I was acting different, let's say. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll work on that and see. What entanglements you have in the family system that are making you struggle so much with this situation?
I'm taking one for
Yeah.
the team. I'm putting my personal stuff out there, but it's all good. Because I feel like other people have similar stuff going on as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
I think it's helpful for everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
So so before we start doing the constellation, what's important for you is to realize that like we were saying before, your grandfather, he grew up in a completely different world. I mean, you would never think that his world is the same one as where we live right now, because they were so different. And that and he has a lot of experience. He has many more years of life than us, and that he loves you. And he wants you to be happy and to do well. And he thinks he knows best.
Yes.
So the reason why he wants you to be different is because he wants you to be to his image, what he thinks that's going to help you be successful, to be happy, to be able to do all the things that will bring happiness to your life. So that rejection of your life and your way of life it's not because he doesn't love you or because he doesn't like that kind of life, although he might not like it, but because he thinks that he knows best what is gonna, what's the path for you to be better in life. And it's
Mm-hmm.
coming out of love. It's coming because he loves you and he wants you to do well. And his version of well is different because he lived in a completely different world.
Yes, that's
His
true.
version of how to get there is also different because he had a different reality.
Mm. Yep.
So each time that you see him and that he is objecting, he's angry, he's like, why don't you do this? Why are you still doing this? Why are you, you know, internally, you just say, no, thank you. Those are words of love. And this is how you show that you love me.
Mm.
So now I accept the love.
You
And
want me
then,
to you want me to say that?
not right now, but
Okay.
whenever you have an encounter with him and he's
Okay.
doing all these things that you don't like. And the
Mm.
other thing is that, of course, you're not going to change him,
Yeah.
especially, we cannot change others. We can only work on ourselves.
Right.
But the more years we've been one way, the harder it is to change. So even, your grandfather, he's the way that he is, and he'll probably be like that for the rest of his life. So each time that you're going to see him, instead of hoping that he's going to say different things, that he's going to accept you, he's going to be happy with what you're doing, expect that he's going to do exactly the same as he's been doing, because that's the most probable.
Right.
So then when it happens, it's not like, oh no, again, but it's like, yeah, of course, this is who he is.
Mm.
And then you can prepare. You can anticipate. What are you going to do when that is happening? What are you going to say? What is the healthiest way to react to this?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to change the subject and tell him, why don't you tell me about your life? I don't know much about your life. When you were growing up, how was it like? How did you solve your problems when you had a difficulty? Tell me about this. What were your joys? You shift the conversation so that you're not stuck there receiving all this that is uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
Or if you cannot shift the conversation, then you talk, I have you watched this thing and TV and try to talk about a different thing. Or maybe you decide that you're going to go to the bathroom and then come back and maybe you can have a different kind of conversation. I don't know. That you need to decide what would be the best way to act. But what is important is that for you to realize that he'll probably do it exactly the same and tell you the same things that he's been saying. So you need to expect it, and then you
Yeah.
can prepare, and then you can know what is the healthiest way to react with love, with respect, with acceptance to this way of how he shows love to me.
Right.
Because in the end, that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
Okay.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the constellation. So what I'm gonna do is
What do
that
you
we're
have on the
gonna.
table? You have something on the table.
I have something on the table. I have pieces of paper. So
Oh wow.
you're not going to be able to see the floor here, but I'm going to put the pieces of paper on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do, the way I do the constellation, if we were in a group session, then one person represents you, the other person represents your grandfather, and we kind of see what comes up, what's going on between you. And the representatives don't know anything about you. They're connecting to the energy intuitively. They're not connecting to your soul, or if there's somebody dead, we're not channeling the spirit of people. We're connecting to the information. We know
Okay.
from quantum physics that information is everywhere. And what we're doing is that we're, with our intuition, we're connecting to this information, always holding on to the intention of having the best possible healing for you and your family system. So I'm going to put the pieces of paper on the floor, and I'll be going from one position to the other, always explaining to you what's going on.
Okay.
I'll ask you to say some phrases, and you can say them in your own words, your own way of talking. You can even say them, if you speak with your grandfather in a different language, you can say them in that language, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something that you feel that you just cannot say, let me know, and then we'll work with it.
Okay.
Okay. So choose a piece of paper for you.
Far left blue.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay. And one for your grandfather.
Um, the second green one, the dark green.
This one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna put them here on the floor.
Okay. That's very interesting. And now you shuffle them or like randomly or?
No, I just put them in the floor because I know which one is which. So now I'm going to start connecting to you, to the blue one. The blue one is here and the green one is there.
Okay.
So let me put the, let me see if you can see me there.
Yep.
Okay. So here I'm going to start representing you. And as I represent you, I have my fists like this. I have a lot of anger.
Oh man, yes.
And it feels that it's anger that is not from you, but from somebody else in the family system. But then it connects to situations in your life and you just like hold this anger, like explode with this anger. And like, it feels very intense, very limiting as well.
Okay.
And it's not from your grandfather. So I'm going to put a piece of paper beside you to represent the person from whom you're carrying this anger. I'm going to put this red piece of paper.
It's a bit of Columbo. We're gonna find out.
Yeah. And now that I put the piece of paper beside you to represent the person from whom you're carrying the anger, it's like you let go completely of the anger.
Hmm.
And now you're just, you're feeling that like sadness, like grief, like pain. And you have your eyes closed, like you don't want to see. Like you would rather ignore all this because it's just too painful to face.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I'm gonna go and represent your grandfather now. Your grandfather is, did he lost anybody important in his life? A sibling, a child? Did he
Uh,
participate in any war?
I think he was briefly in served in a war, but I don't know if he fought, but he did serve in the army.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if he lost. I don't think he lost anybody in the family. Maybe his relatives, like that, I don't know of, but not anyone in the recently.
Okay. So he's looking at several like dead people from his family system, um, entanglements that he has, either from previous generations or from his generations that he was not able to deal with. So he's just like stuck looking at these members of the family system.
I think. Hold on. I think the my great grandfather committed suicide, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's one.
Okay, let me see. Do you have any idea of how old was your grandfather when that happened?
I would say in his 40s ish.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so it doesn't feel like it's his father.
Okay.
So it's somebody else. So we're gonna just place the pieces of paper there and then we'll see if we can, if it's important to get more information from this part. What I want to do now is to look at the person from that you're carrying from the anger. Does anybody come to mind of who this person could be?
The other grandfather that's now passed away, maybe from my dad's side.
Okay, so it feels that connected to him. Um, that what happened in his life, just in a few sentences.
He he died of liver stuff. Like he was drinking a lot. He was kind of a mean drunk. But yeah, there was arguments with my mother, and he was violent, and that's why we moved up north. So there was some stuff, and probably alcohol related, but also anger. I guess that anger, yeah, comes into play.
Okay. You said that he passed away already, right?
Yes,
Okay. Did you know him?
I did know him. Yes, he passed away like 9 years ago.
Okay. Okay, so close your eyes and think about him.
Hmm.
And what do you feel thinking about him right now?
Some grief, sadness, some curiosity, maybe some fear as well,
Okay.
a little bit intimidation. Um,
So think about him.
there's also love there.
Okay. Okay, that's important.
Hmm. Yeah, there's love there.
So think that he's in front of you. There's so many things that you don't know what happened in his life. You know, why did had he had those problems with the drinking and that anger, that why was he the way he was? What happened before that made him that way? You probably will never know, but it must have been difficult. It must have been hard. So hard that he wanted to hide it with the and not feel it. And that's why the alcohol was helpful. So tell your grandfather, I see you.
I tell him in my mind.
So if you can say it out loud, it's better.
Okay, I see you.
I know that it must have been very difficult for you.
I know it must have been very difficult for you.
I know that you carried pain and anger.
I know that you carried pain and anger.
And it was so intense that I'm connecting to this as well.
It was so intense. I'm connecting to it as well.
I now choose to release the part that is not mine and not my responsibility.
I don't choose to release the part that's not mine and that's not my responsibility.
I let go of any judgment and criticism that I have of you.
I let go of any judgment and criticism I have of you.
And I choose to accept you the way that you were.
And I choose to accept you the way that you were.
I know you were doing the best that you could.
I know you were doing the best that you could.
All your suffering is over.
All your suffering is over.
You can rest in peace.
You can rest in peace.
I will always remember you.
I'll always remember you
And carry you in my heart.
and carry you in my heart.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to him?
It's coincidence. Yeah, I do miss him. Last time I saw him, it was a while since I saw him last, and for some reason there was tears when I last saw him, and yeah, this is the last time I saw him. So yeah, I miss you, and I hope you're well.
Okay. Take a deep breath. And you can open your eyes.
I thought the connection went out for a minute. I was like, "Whoa, is anybody on the line?"
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Wow.
Okay, so I've been going from your position and your grandfather's position while you were doing all this, and there has been a huge release. All this anger and then the pain and this like the sadness that you're feeling at the beginning and closing your eyes, you felt like very trapped. It's completely released, and you feel like at peace and grounded and present, and with a lot of connection with your grandfather, a lot of love. And he also feels that way in the sense that he feels at peace, like these things that were holding him, that we're still like keeping him stuck, completely released, and he feels at peace and happy, and with this connection of love with you. It feels really, really good.
You mean the grandfather that passed away?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is the one that we were doing the exercise with.
Okay.
And now that you'd cleared this part, you're able to look at the other grandfather that before you were not even able to look at. It was like, I'm avoiding all this because it was connecting with all the things that you were carrying from the other grandfather that made the possibility of working with this grandfather like too much, unbearable. Like it
Right.
was too intense. But now you're ready. Now we can start working with this part. Okay. So I'm gonna go back and then start connecting to. Okay, and your grandfather is still, he feels a little bit better, a little bit less tense, itchy. But at the beginning, there was like a sensation of itchiness. Now he's more present, still very connected. There's two people here that he's looking at. So let me see if I can find out what generation they could be. So it's the generation of your grandfather's grandparents.
Okay. Wow.
So it's several generations back from you. Let me see. From his father's side. So the grandparents from his father's side. Do you know anything at all from that generation?
No. No.
Okay. So, something must have happened that was very difficult and painful that's still connecting and coming up even today. So whatever it is, I mean, close your eyes and think about that generation and these two people that your grandfather is looking at, that he has an entanglement with them. He's carrying things from them. And he probably had this entanglements all his life and has been struggling with this energy of not being able to connect to life because of these entanglements.
Mm.
So even if you don't know who they are, just imagine they're two people from your family system. were very important to your grandfather. Look at them and yes.
I get that there's at least one person that's very strict on things have to be done the right way.
Okay. So look at them and tell them, even though I don't know who you are, you're part of my family system.
Even though I don't know who you are, you're part of my family system.
And you belong.
Sorry?
And you belong.
And you belong.
It's all over now.
It's all over now.
Your suffering is over as well.
Your suffering is over as well.
You can now rest in peace.
You can now rest in peace.
Now look at your grandfather. Still looking at these other people that have passed away. And tell him, I know they are very important to you.
I know they're very important to you.
They are important to all of us.
They are important to all of us.
But they're dead and you are alive.
But they're dead and you're alive.
They are already resting in peace.
They are already resting in peace.
It's okay to let go.
It's okay to let go.
Okay, so take a deep breath and open your eyes. Okay, so as you were doing this, I was here representing your grandfather. I kind of went to represent them for a moment and I came back. I kind of felt like a disconnection, like I'm able to let go. And I started looking at you and like I'm able to be at peace with whatever happened with whoever they are. And now I'm looking at you, so I'm gonna go back to you. And you're looking at him as well, and you're both very grounded and present. So we're gonna do some work with your grandfather directly.
Okay.
So close your eyes again and think about your grandfather being in front of you. And right now in this moment, what comes up for you? What are you feeling?
Apprehension, judgment, curiosity.
Okay. So think about your grandfather as a child. Imagine, because you can only imagine what was going on in his life. What was the relationship with his parents, his grandparents? Did they have enough? Were they struggling? What was he learning? What was he told? That was important. And he's just doing the best that he can, learning and imitating what he sees from his culture, from his parents, especially. And imagine him growing up as a teenager as well, and then meeting your grandmother, always doing the best that he could, and keeping all the values from his family, making new ones, and the culture, and again, always doing the best that he could. And especially keeping what he thinks that has been helpful. That is what works. He has set that in his mind. And he probably has been able to influence others. And they have been done well after following his advice. And he thinks that he knows best, especially for you. He wants you, but he wants the best for you. And this is how he's showing that he cares. He has seen a lot of suffering in his life. And he doesn't want anybody in his family to suffer. So he's trying to do everything he can to help in his way. So look at him. Say thank you.
Thank you.
I honor and I respect you.
I honor and I respect you.
You are my grandfather.
You are my grandfather.
And I am your grandson.
And I am your grandson.
And I'm not a little boy anymore.
And I'm not a little boy anymore.
I'm already an adult.
I'm already an adult.
And I am responsible for myself.
And I am responsible for myself.
And I would listen to your advice.
And I would listen to your advice.
And then I'll decide myself what is best for me.
And then I'll decide for myself what's best for me.
And if you are okay with that or not, then that is your choice.
And if you're okay with that or not, well, that is your choice.
I choose to let go of judgment and criticism that I have of you.
I choose to let go of the judgment and criticism I have of you.
I choose to accept you the way that you are.
I choose to accept you the way that you are.
Okay, so what's coming up here is that you're connecting to a lot of things from your mom as well, from her relationship with your grandfather.
Yeah.
So look at your mom and tell her your relationship with your father belongs to you and him.
Your relationship with your father belongs to you and him,
Not to me.
not to me.
It's not my responsibility.
It's not my responsibility.
I let go what I'm feeling for my grandfather that is yours.
I'll let go from what I'm feeling for my grandfather, that is yours.
That belongs to you and not to me.
That belongs to you and not to me.
And now look at both of them together and tell both of them, thank you for my life.
Thank you for my life.
Okay, take a deep breath and open your eyes. It's important to realize that when we have opinions of someone from our parents, we're going to be very trapped into those ways of looking at others. And it's going to be hard for us to make our own opinion. So we need to recognize this and let go. You know, they have their own experiences, their own situations, their own difficulties that they've experienced with the other people, with the other members of the family system.
Yeah.
But those are not yours. And you're able to do your own view image of others from what you want to have as connection with others. So you need to understand that your mom is doing the best that she can with her own situation, with her own way of experiencing life. And that she's doing the best that she can, and it's valid for her to feel whatever she's feeling, but those are not your feelings as well. Those are hers.
Yeah.
And you don't need to take them on. You can acknowledge them, and then you decide what is your experience separated from hers.
It's hard to know what's yours and what's other people's, apparently.
It is. And usually when one way of knowing is when we have some emotion that is very, very strong, that is very intense, and that it's not really connected to the situation. Like for example, somebody tells you something and you suddenly get like furious, and it's something that you think, why is this making me so angry? And that's usually because you're carrying emotions from somebody else. It could be
Right.
that you're carrying emotions from you that you have not allowed yourself to feel, or that you're carrying emotions from somebody else, and this is why it feels so intense. So that's a way of knowing when you're experiencing something and the emotion just feels overwhelming. Maybe it's fear, grief, sadness, anger, whatever. When it feels too much for the experience that you're having, it's usually because part of it is not from that moment. It's either from somebody else or from something from your past that you did not allow to feel.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this is feeling much better, but I want you to close your eyes and think about your grandfather and see if something has shifted from the beginning. From how you were able to perceive him, are you able now to perceive him differently?
Yeah, there's more openness, there's more acceptance. There's still fear, a bit of fear left, but I think overall it feels better.
Okay.
Mm.
And this fear, again, is part yours and part from somebody else. So connect to this fear and say, I now release the part that is not mine.
I now release the part that's not mine.
Honoring and respecting the experience of whoever this belongs to.
Honoring and respecting their experience to whoever this belongs to.
And now look at your fear. And fear is always a protection. So connect to that fear, to the part that is yours. And tell it, I know that you're trying to protect me.
I know that you're trying to protect me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take care of myself.
I'm gonna take care of myself.
I have the tools to do this.
I have the tools to do this.
Okay, and now I want you to look at life and to look at everything that life can give to you, the joy, the beauty, the health, success, happiness, love, good relationships. And say, I now choose life.
I now choose life.
I choose to leave the past in the past.
I choose to leave the past in the past.
Honor and respecting everything that happened.
Honor and respecting everything that happened.
And I now choose life.
And I now choose life.
Okay, so imagine that you're moving toward this big, strong ray of light connected with life. And that you move until you get to this life, to this light and life and everything that life can give to you. So open yourself to receive, to connect to this. And start thinking about what do you have right now in this moment in your life with gratefulness, appreciating everything. And take a deep breath and you can open your eyes. So I'll just explain to you what happened here.
Okay.
The connection with your grandfather feels a lot better. I always like to at some point, if possible, check the connection of life with the person. So what was interesting is that the moment that you said, I choose life, so I represent life in that direction. So that's why I'm looking that direction. So the moment that you said, I choose life, instead of going toward that direction, you went backward, did a step backward.
I did a
Like
step
connecting,
backward.
yeah, like connecting to the past. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I want, if I want to. Let me think about it a little bit. I mean, this was the sensation.
Okay.
And that's why I added the part that I choose to leave the past in the past, because that often happens when we have entanglements from the past, from our ancestors that we're just holding on to. So then we don't
Okay.
allow ourselves to go to life because we're still holding on to the past and whatever happened in the past in their lives. So that's why I added the phrase, I choose to leave the past in the past. And then you started walking toward life. So then it felt a lot better. So I wanted to let you know about that part as well.
Wow, that's so interesting, isn't it?
So let me
Wow.
get the pieces of paper here.
Wow.
Yeah. So it feels complete, the constellation. It feels that the relationship with your grandfather is a lot better. It's already shifting, it's changing, it's being more solid, present with you and him, and not you and everything that you're carrying from your other grandfather and from your mother, and him from those entanglements with dead members of the family system that he had. Now it's like you're present with each other, and that's a lot better. And there's a strong connection of love. And then again, your grandfather will still be the same, your grandfather, saying the things that he thinks are best. So remember, how can you react in order to have a healthy relationship, considering that that's him, and prepare so then it doesn't, catch you by surprise.
Wow.
Always honoring and respecting him.
This was quite comprehensive. This was like a lot longer than I expected, but it was good. Like we went in depth into this, and wow, I do feel different. But I'm wondering, does this like this work that you do, does this impact on other people indirectly? Like, do they feel kind of a change as well?
In your family, you mean?
Yeah.
there are changes that happen for sure, and often they're able to feel it. Often there are things that change in their lives, but they just don't know why.
Oh, okay. Because
And
obviously
by
then they,
resonance, we are ourselves and we have our energy all around us. And if you are healing, if you're more at peace, if you suddenly come to your grandfather with this love and acceptance, instead of this like, oh my goodness, what is he going to say today, this tension and fear, and like, oh, then he's connecting now to that love, to that relaxed, to that acceptance, and then he's not going to react to that attacking, and it's all part of the connection. So if you come with openness and love, he's going to start connecting to that as well, and that it also helps change the relationship. So by resonance with our energy, others change as well.
wow, that's
And we do connect to the energy. And I just want to add this because it's so important. People think that connecting to the energy, I mean, what is that? But if you think about it, sometimes you enter a room and nobody has said anything, and you're like, what's going on here?
yeah,
I'm gonna go out. I don't know what happened here, but I don't want to be here. That's us connecting to the energy, also connecting to the verbal, non-verbal
yeah.
body language that people are saying, but we're also connecting to the energy. We do it all the time. So then when your energy has shifted, he's going to start connecting to that, and it's going to shift in him as well.
Wow. That is really amazing because uh you're able to shift these relationships that a lot of it comes from the past, and with that also shifting other people. Does this affect also the because obviously people take on other people's stuff, like in my case you found that a lot of it was anger that wasn't even mine, so then that would affect my indirectly or directly my level of consciousness or my awareness or my how I feel day to day, basically.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Completely.
Well, thank you so much. This is really helpful.
Yeah. Let me tell you, something that happened recently with a client.
Okay.
We did a session, and she said, I don't know what happened. Things that used to worry me don't worry anymore. So I'm looking for the worry. I'm trying to find the worry that was coming all the time, and I cannot find it. I'm just not worried anymore, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I can
So those
relate
are
to
the things
that.
that suddenly happen.
I
It's
can relate
like,
to that. Yeah.
yeah, suddenly
Sometimes,
there are things that are there that used to bother us don't anymore.
yeah. Well, I've had this for just a bit now, but I remember sometimes when I did like intense meditation and there was something let go, it was almost like a storage where you walk in and you know there's something missing, but you don't know where it is. That's how it
Yeah.
feels like I know there was a box there, but I don't know where is it now. You know.
I love that.
Yeah. Because you're so used to it, the box being there, but now you're like searching your mind, like, oh, where is it? Where? Oh, cool, amazing. So
Yeah.
how can
Yeah.
people contact you to get a session with you?
So my website is coachingandconstellations.com. And my email is info@coachingandconstellations.com.
Hmm.
And in my website, you can find all the information about appointments, about events. I have videos, and I have the link to YouTube also on my website. So you can find the YouTube channel through my website, and I have a lot of videos with information as well. So the best way is it's through my website.
Well, I think that's where I discovered you on YouTube, which is one of the
Uh,
few guests I discovered on YouTube. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is, because like I think we have a similar amount of subscribers, which I don't consider that much. So it's actually quite impressive that your video was in related videos, because usually things that are in the related videos have a lot, a lot of views and stuff like that, a lot of subscribers, but sometimes it's not. So it's amazing. YouTube algorithm works sometimes well. So
Yeah. I think that this was supposed to happen because it will benefit others. So then
there you go. It was meant to be there.
it was meant to be.
Well, thank you very much, Liza Miron. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, thank you as well. And thank you for inviting me.
And thank you everybody for listening and watching.